Email is a huge part of how legal work actually happens, but in many firms, it still gets managed separately, apart from the rest of the matter file. After working with hundreds of firms, we've seen that email management works much better when it's treated as part of the document management system, part of your overall content management system, not something separate. So in this video, I'll talk through why email and document management break down when they do, what it costs law firms in real terms, and what a better, more matter-centric or client-centric approach looks like. So why is email management such an important issue in a law firm? I think for probably a lot of industries, email might be mostly semi-casual communication, maybe not the most important part of a workflow, but not for law firms. In a law firm, emails can contain instructions or approvals. They're almost certainly going to have protected client information, and they're going to have some level of sensitive matter information. So it's fair to say that for law firms, email is different. And add to that, I think law firms especially, they need their email to be stored with the client file or the matter file that it pertains to, meaning it should be stored, number one, alongside all other content for a particular client or matter file, so documents, notes, videos, any and all content, not separate, not segregated. And number two, it should be stored centrally in a single central place or system, so that everyone at the law firm who needs access to the content, including the email for a given client or project, has access to it, has access to the email that is relevant to that client, relevant to that project. And you just can't do that with plain Outlook folders or Gmail folders. So I think it's important for law firms to be intentional and proactive about email management. And, it's really easy to overlook. I get it, right? We all get busy running our business and we all get busy serving clients, especially, and that does need to come first. But if you don't take a little time to be intentional and to really think a little bit about how email fits into your broader work streams, things tend to fall apart quickly, right? Information becomes fragmented. Decision-making slows. Your users, the other members of your firm, are certainly going to become frustrated. And ultimately, I think client service really suffers for it. So how are most law firms actually managing email today? As you can imagine, there's quite the spectrum. We've had the privilege over the years to work alongside and work for hundreds of law firms. And some firms really get this right. So here's what it looks like when a firm isn't quite as intentional as they could be and where things start to break down. There's really a number of symptoms you'll see, and they're all related and interrelated, but this is kind of what it looks like. When a firm's, I'll say, leadership isn't thoughtful or proactive about email management, email then, which, I think of email as effectively a document too, right? But email is by default stored apart from the rest of your system. That's just sort of the default state or the starting state is fragmented data. So I think it really falls to the law firm's leadership to be thoughtful, take action, and make them not separate, right? To put them into a single system. In other words, what you really need, what every law firm really needs when it comes to not just email, but all content, is a single source of truth. And if your email is spread across 10 inboxes or a bunch of, public exchange folders or that kind of thing, you don't have a single source of truth. You have overlapping maybe sources of truth. So I think it really falls to leadership to be thoughtful and to take action, because the default state is emails over here and documents are over here. You need to make them really one. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. And ultimately what you really need, what every law firm needs, is a single source of truth. And if client and matter related email are spread across multiple inboxes and maybe exchange folders or other kinds of things, you don't have that. Another symptom or phenomenon is, unpacking that a bit more, is that email tends to get very siloed. And what I mean by that is, let's just say you're really good at organizing email. And I've talked to law firm leaders where this is the case, and they'll show me their inbox, or they'll show me their Outlook rather, and they'll have, a folder per client and then a subfolder per matter, and they're super organized, and maybe they're even using, tags or labels in Outlook to really get organized. That is great for you. It's totally unhelpful to the rest of your firm, who is probably working on the same case and probably needs access to some of that same content as you, especially the email, because the email really adds so much context to the case, to the project, to whatever it is you're working on. So if you're being intentional, client and matter emails don't live in any one inbox, at least that's not their permanent home. They are stored in a single central place that is accessible to your entire firm, or at the very least is accessible to those people in your firm who need that context and need access to that information. Another symptom you'll see when a firm isn't as proactive or intentional about email management as they could be is searching is a pain or doesn't work very well. If your documents in your email are stored in separate places, that probably means you need to go to separate places to perform the search. And say you have only the vaguest notion of what you're looking for, and you're not even certain, was this an email? Was this a document? Was this thing I'm thinking of a document in an email? If you have to go multiple places to search, it takes longer, and there's a much higher chance that you're not going to find what you're looking for. Outlook is great. The application Outlook is great for composing and reading emails. It is not great for organizing them for a team or for more than one person, right? It's not good for storing or organizing, and it's just not built for that. Sometimes when I see, particularly with newer or smaller law firms, sort of their first run at how are we going to manage email is by way of inbox, right? Is inbox-based management. And I think that can work fine if you're a true solo, if you don't have any colleagues you're working with. But the moment you start adding more members to your team, be them other attorneys or legal support staff, things start to break down, right? Because matter-related email becomes very, very fragmented, very, very distributed, not in a good way. And again, you lose that single source of truth. That problem becomes exponential as you add people, because you just have more places more inboxes where an email might live, more duplicate copies of the same thing. The problem gets bad quick, and it's just not scalable. So once you get past, in my opinion, honestly, 2, 3, 4 people, 2, 3, 4 users, you really need something better than just inbox-based email management. Quick sidebar, if these issues feel familiar, we've put together a short document system audit that can help you evaluate whether your current setup is helping or slowing your firm down. It only takes a few minutes to do, and you'll get immediate results, and you will find that audit linked below. What is the real problem with email and documents being in completely separate systems, right? Because that is the default state. I think there's a number of problems, right? Number one, you'll lose the relationship between this information or this content, say this email here, and this document over here, right? I think there's a lot of important context that exists explicitly or inferred between these things. And if they're not all in the same system, I think you really lose that. And even if you have all that context in your head just right, again, that's not so helpful for the colleagues at your firm who need to work on this case with you or this project with you. Another very practical problem with email and documents being in a separate system is search. Right? If your email is in one system and your documents are in another, more than likely you need to go to 2 different systems to perform a search. And let's just say a typical search at a law firm might look something like this. Like, let's just say you kind of remember something that you want to retrieve from a prior case or a prior project, but you only have the vaguest notion of what format it's in. Was this an email? Was this a Word document? Or was this a document attached to an email? If you can't search in one place and see all the results that exist, like this is everything that exists in the universe that matches your search criteria, in one place, you're going to probably not find what you're looking for, or if you do, it's going to take a lot longer. So search is always a problem if your systems are separate. Number 3, I think collaboration gets harder too, right? If your email's in a separate system, you're less likely to save it centrally or save important matter-related emails centrally where other members of your firm, your other colleagues can see it, right? So collaboration gets undermined when you have separate document and email management systems. And I think another practical consequence or issue with, again, disjointed systems is that there's a real possibility of losing email, right? If you're managing email by way of inboxes only, in other words, you're just letting everyone just kind of manage email however they choose to, there's a real risk of losing email because you're now relying on each and every member of your firm. You're relying on them to be super organized. And guess what? They're not all going to be, right? So you really need a central system to help them be organized. and some business rules around this is how we manage and save email. Some really simple business rules and a good central system will go a long way. And, all of those issues, all those problems, some general, some very practical, they really all add up to, I think, frustrated users, right? Frustrated members of your firm. The job's hard enough, right? Without technology problems. And I think it really undermines and impacts client service, right? Which is, at the end of the day, what this is all about. Okay, so I've convinced you to be intentional and proactive about managing email. Fantastic. What should you do, and what does that look like? Doing email management right at a law firm isn't one cool productivity hack, or it's not about one particular tool or platform or another, or chasing shiny objects or anything like that. It really starts with having some principles, right? Some first order principles around how to manage and store and retrieve email in a way that makes sense for your firm. And there's no one right answer to that, but the only wrong answer is to not think about it, right? Is to not be proactive about it. So really, your firm should have principles or business rules perhaps that inform your process and inform your chosen document and email management system, right? Principles first, tools second is kind of the way we look at things. And you really want principles that can be enforced or supported by a platform of your choosing, a platform for managing email and documents. So what does that look like? Well, after working with hundreds of law firms, here's in the abstract what a good intentional email management system and process, because they really go hand in hand, look like. I'll cover 4 things. And if you cover these 4 things, you're ahead of 90% of the firms out there. And it's not that hard. So number 1, everything central and organized by matter or client. So everything, documents, video, notes, email should be centrally stored in one place, accessible to all in your firm or accessible to all who need it, and organized by either client or matter or project or something like that, right? Not just scattered, not just loose. So everything central. You need a single central source of truth available to everyone in your team who needs it. Number 2, capture is really important. And by capture, I mean getting an email from its where it came from into your chosen system. The capture and the filing of emails to whatever system you're using really should be easy and low friction. And what that looks like, again, is going to vary from firm to firm. So for instance, a lot of firms, they don't need anything more sophisticated than just, hey, I just need to be able to save this email to this matter file in a click or 2. And it just needs to be easy. And that's sufficient for a lot of firms. Some firms, however, there's just a high volume of email, right? A lot of parties, a lot of related parties, a lot of communication back and forth, and that might be insufficient. So your firm might need something where, for instance, some email management systems can automatically file emails for you, or it can be a semi-automated process where it says, okay, these 10 emails are all from Susan, and I know that Susan is related to this client or this matter, I'm going to automatically file them there. So whether you need that kind of automation or you just need an easy workflow is really a firm by firm thing. But think about capture. Think about how the email gets into the system, because that's something that your law firm users are going to be doing a lot. That's number 2, is capture. Number 3, I think, is Outlook integration. Very practical. Outlook is the email system of choice for most law firms. So your platform for documents and email should integrate with it tightly. It should be a tight, easy to use, again, low friction integration. And the last thing that, if you get this right, you're doing really well, again, is search. In a firm that has taken some time to think about and has been intentional about email management, search can be performed. The tool doesn't matter, but this does, right? That everyone in your firm can go to one place, one screen, one tool, one application, and perform one search that will touch or crawl or look at all content, regardless of the content type, regardless of, is it an email or a Word document? That's kind of a technicality, really, right? So they shouldn't be segregated. So search should really be really central to your email management thesis, if you will. So those are the 4 things, right? Everything central and organized by matter, a good capture system, strong Outlook integration, and strong search. If you get those 4 right, you're going to be in a great position. Put yourself in the perspective of an employee at your firm. be it legal support or another attorney or whatever, and kind of go through the process mentally of what they would have to do to, say, find something. Say they want to perform a search. Say they want to find, I don't know, an old contract they had written a while back to use as something of a template. If that user, or if you in this process, if you have to, okay, now I have to go run a search in my Outlook, and then I have to run a search in our file system, and then I have to run a search in maybe our practice management tool, like that's a thick, clunky process that, number one, is fun for nobody, and number two, is almost certainly going to result in you're going to miss stuff sometimes, right? And coming back to putting yourself in the perspective of your employee, would you want that to be your work experience? I wouldn't. And to the degree that giving your employees an easy to use system to do their job and serve their clients is important, I think that kind of thing really matters. So much of this is maybe a mindset shift. So what is the mindset shift that law firm leaders really need to make about email and about managing it all, at least in our experience? Well, first, I think it's important to understand that proper email management isn't about inbox organization. It's about structuring legal work properly and legal work flow properly. It's really operational design, if you think about it. And implementing workflows that work for the entire firm and everyone in it is super important. I think you really have to take the macro view on that. Second, in my experience, law firms that really get this right, they've really stopped treating and thinking of communication and documents as separate operational domains, right? It is all part of the matter. Or maybe said another way, if email is part of the work, it needs to be part of the work system. And I should point out too that, much of this wisdom, I think, around email management, it isn't about, the goal isn't about keeping your inbox clean, right? The goal isn't necessarily inbox zero. Now that's often a real world, almost byproduct of having a good email management system, but it's not the goal, right? The real goal is it's about information integrity. It's about keeping things together in the same system. It's about, the relationship between different kinds of documents and, documents, and I'm counting email in that. And it's ultimately about delivering the best client service you can, because the more informed and up to speed everyone is at your firm who is working on a case or for a client, and the more access and the more everybody can see the entire picture, the better service you're going to deliver to your clients. And I think they'll notice it. If you take only one thing from this, or if there's one maybe central concept to all of this that I would want to impart, or that I would want to resonate and stick with you, it would be this: that it's really principles and process first, tools and technology second. Meaning, figure out what you need, why you need it, in terms of how email is managed and what the rules are. Figure out those principles first, then and only then find a tool or a platform that will help support it. So principles first, technologies and tools second. So really, email management is not an inbox issue. In a law firm, it's really how the work itself gets organized and delivered. And when email and documents live in separate systems, in separate places, matter history gets harder to follow, information gets harder to track, matter context gets harder to put together for not just you, but other members of your firm. And members of your firm end up relying on memory or worse. On the other hand, when your documents and your email are really managed together and thought of together and put together, firms will perform better for their clients, probably faster, probably with fewer errors, and certainly with a lot less headache along the way. So if this was helpful, we share practical content like this regularly on document management, email management, law firm process. So subscribe to the channel to always get the latest on law firm technology and organization, and I will see you next time.